people are still very concerned with labels and genres and whatnot. Well, for me, I don't really care. It's either you like something or not.
Sven, a new album, and also basically 30 years of Aborted. So, fuck,
Next year, yeah.
that's crazy. How are you doing today?
Not bad. Just had a long day at work, so I'm now doing this stuff. So it's a
Uh,
long, busy day.
I mean, it is. It's interesting because every time there's a new Aborted album, it is after all these years, it's still always an event. There's a buzz around it. People want to make you very busy and do interview after interview and interview. Um, Also cool to see that even with the 30th anniversary coming up, that the band is still so relevant today. Do you have do milestones like 30 years, does that do anything with you? Like, are you a nostalgic person? Do you like to celebrate those milestones, or are you like, I don't really care about the 30 years behind me, I'm looking at the 30 years ahead of me?
Mainly makes me feel old. To be honest. It's kind of a mixed bag because before doing the interviews, I didn't even realize that's what was happening next
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
Didn't know, and then some press people brought it up, and I was like,
yeah. Oh
"Holy shit!
shit.
Yeah, damn! What have I been doing the last 30 years?" But yeah, no, it's cool. Nothing's planned yet, but I think it's a nice milestone for sure
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah.
But we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now the focus is obviously on the new album that's coming out.
Nothing.
In those, I do want to ask you before we go in full detail in the new album. I do want to ask you because I mean, I grew up in Belgium. I moved to Canada 12 years ago, so left a while ago. But you know, Belgian or Belgians and Belgian bands have always been this thing. Like in Belgium, we have this saying like, oh, you turn around the church tower a few times every year and that's it. Like a lot of good bands never really went beyond playing the local bars, a few times a year, and it's the same bars over and over again. Somehow Aborted was able to not limit yourselves or not be limited and break out well beyond the borders of Belgium. What's your take on why that did happen for you guys, where so many other talented bands outside of Belgium, no one has ever heard of them?
I think it's just hard work ethic, and just putting in the work also in networking. I remember back in the day, and this goes back a long time. Like I'd be writing letters, to
Yeah,
and shit, and that's how every weekend. Sometimes we drive like 8 hours to play a show, 10 hours to play a show. There's no money to be made, but we did it because we're doing it because we're having a good time and we enjoy playing the music. But that's the sacrifice and the effort you put into it. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
literally, like before emails, just writing letters, which sounds crazy right now, but it's what you did. And then
Yeah, yeah,
there's all ways to connect with people. Fortunately, we don't have to do that anymore. We got an agent, but back in the day, that's pretty much how it worked. And you just got to be consistent in it and just put in the work. And as long as the band plays well and then does a good job, then the rest kind of follows if you put in the work.
Not always maybe possible to live that lifestyle for everyone. I mean, those of us that know Aborted's history know that there's one or two lineup changes over the years.
At
Uh,
least
maybe two, yeah, maybe three. What? Because Aborted as a band is a band that has been releasing albums almost like clockwork every 2 years, sometimes 3, sometimes 1 year. Like you guys have never really slowed down. What for you personally? Because whether or not you agree with that statement, but ask anyone that listens to your band, they'll say like Sven is Aborted and Aborted is Sven. Like what has kept you going? What's kept that flame burning for you, like for 30 years?
it helps that you enjoy what you're doing, I would say. I mean, it's really the most important thing. If you, especially if you're playing like that kind of niche material, extreme music, you're doing it because you like it. Otherwise, you're not going to be doing it that
Right.
lo- for that long, because it's not like there's tons of money to be made or fame or whatnot. You know, we do this because we enjoy this. I'm no different, you know, from anyone in the band. But yeah, it's definitely takes a lot of work and sacrifice.
This album, there's a freshness to this band which you wouldn't expect from a band after 30 years and so many albums to still see, if you will. And I was wondering, you've been very active also with other bands and projects like Coffin Feeder, obviously. When you were writing this album, when this whole album is being produced, do you see that other sides of your artistic output are re-influencing your main band?
I think there's definitely some crossover,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't just say like just limited to the other bands that I'm in or that anyone else is in, but also the artists you tour with. You know, you're
Right.
constantly being inspired by other artists, being it even just musically checking out new stuff or playing festivals, discovering bands you haven't seen, you've been looking forward to, or simply just bands you tour with. So I mean that's the cool thing in this branch, or in this music industry, if you want to call it that way, is there's a lot of ways to get inspired as long as you're open to it.
Yeah. And with not just inspiration, we actually see bands that you've recently toured with show up on the album as guests as well, which is always cool to see. You're going to be, seeing a bunch of old friends and new friends when you are going on the road again with one of, I mean, this is probably the death metal package to beat this year. You guys, Carnifex, Revocation, Vexed, that's a fantastic lineup. You've been doing this for a long time, and you've been releasing albums, whether or not death metal was hot or not. And this is a tour that already people are going to talk about. It's super hype, which is great. Death metal has not always been as popular as it is today, and like last year was insane for death metal with fantastic album, Cattle Decapitation, Cryptopsy, all great albums, and this new golden age seems to be going. Do you see that as well when going through the years, that the reaction or the interest in tours that kind of like ebbs and flows with how the genre as a whole is doing? Do you see more interest now because there's so many other bands also doing great stuff, or do you not really see that impact from the broader scene on your band specifically?
I think it really depends on the band. I think in one hand, yes, and the other, there's also still a lot of division and elitism
Okay.
in the scene, and people are still very concerned with labels and genres and whatnot. While for me, I don't really care. It's either you like something or not. It's good music.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't matter. So, but it really depends. It doesn't matter ultimately because everything comes and goes. I mean, when we started the band in '95, death metal was like not popular whatsoever. When we started up, it was all, black metal was huge in Europe and all that stuff. And then it switched over, and then, things changed again. It got more
Hmm.
deathcore, metalcore, and now death metal's back too. Like you said, a lot of really sick releases last year and this year as well, I'm sure. So I think we're just looking forward to see where it all goes and
Yeah.
enjoy the ride mainly.
Everybody has already heard a couple of songs that have been released, some videos that have been released. For me, I think there's great songs throughout the album. What I really like is like the two punch of what is it, Condemned to Rot and Brotherhood of Sleep. Like I think it's song 2 and 3, who for me are like a first big massive highlight for the album, because those two songs just work together so well. When you go on the road now, can we keep our fingers crossed to see quite a few new songs being played, because you obviously have such a back catalog and people will always want to hear you play so many different songs, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed to see those songs in the set list.
You will. We already played them live when we premiered some of the new material on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise. So we definitely be playing those, but I think like if I 4 or 5 new songs will be on the set list, so it's a good amount. And I think it's time too, because we didn't really get much of an opportunity to tour for ManiaCult, so we
Right.
really take advantage with this record. And I mean the others, the back catalog, we've done so many shows for all of that stuff. For us too, it's kind of cool to, we're really, really happy with the new records, so we just want to play a bunch of that shit too, of course.
The people that have been with you now on this journey, some of them have been there now for a good while, and we've seen like a healthy new core, if you will, of the band. Are we just now kind of like, it almost feels like Aborted now is like at like the third album of like the new Aborted, if you will. And should we then also expect you to focus just in the next few years a little bit more on the more recent work of the band?
I think that's what we've been doing the last couple of years, really. And it's kind of funny because even at shows, we notice there's a lot more interaction with the crowd on the second part of our career than the first part, which
Okay.
is interesting because people on the internet always talking about Goremageddon and all that stuff, which obviously is still very proud of that record.
Of course.
But you expect like when you announce to play a song of that record, people go crazy, but you see like most people go like, "What?" Yeah, it's kind of weird in a way, but in the other hand, it's cool because I think that there's like kind of since Necrotic Manifesto, mainly like I would say that's like kind of phase 2 or whatever you want to call it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Is it also in a way just a new generation that has discovered you guys? Because the last time I saw you play was surprisingly also when I was visiting Belgium, and I think it was in was it in the Zappa in Antwerp or Kafka, or I forget, but where I think you guys were playing with When Plagues Collide and some
Yeah.
other bands, and
Awesome.
not only were the supporting bands all from a quote unquote younger generation, but the crowd as well. I think I was amongst the older people there, and I'm not the oldest person in the world either. So it seems that a whole new generation has found its way to the new Aborted, which is kind of cool because, as you were saying, many bands with your age and legacy, people always want to hear the first 3 albums and that's it. And with you guys, it seems to be the other way around. How do you explain that?
I don't know. I mean, it's not easy to try to, keep up with things in a way. I don't know if it
Yeah,
trying to appeal to a younger crowd is not necessarily, the what we're really. It's not like we're purposely doing it either.
right.
But we do try to keep things fresh and to come up with things that hopefully speak to a broad spectrum of people. And I think it goes from the musical aspect to it, but also everything else around it, the package, the artworks, the limited editions we do, all the silly stuff we do. And we just really try to have fun, and hopefully that's, kind of what helps with that kind of stuff, because fun transcends. I don't know.
One thing that we've also see return with this album is obviously your passion for horror movies. You're wearing a Halloween shirt right now, and you don't. It's not only Aborted where you show your love for horror movies. Every song on this album is related to a horror movie in some way, shape, or form. But when you listen to the songs, is it truly just about that, or because it's easy to listen to several of their lyrics and go dig a little deeper and find a different meaning, or is that just people like me that are looking for a different meaning?
I think you're looking for a different meaning because that's what I used to do a lot, maybe. But on this record, it was just really about having fun and
Yeah.
dealing with topics that we, or especially me, like have a connection to, and also represent who we are, as the band. We're all a bunch of geeks. We all like to watch horror movies, play video games. And we're nerds, and that's who we are. And so it's violent, it's gory, but it's also funny. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
a mixture of shit that kind of, makes us who we are. So that's what we wanted to do. I mean, especially looking back the last couple of years, there's so much negativity and division and whatnot, and everybody fighting over the most dumb fucking things that we were like, you know what? This is about entertainment and this is about bringing people together that love this kind of music. So let's just, do something that has
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely nothing to do with politics, religion, and gender and nothing. It's just let's try to find a common ground that everybody can just like gather around and have a good time with. And that's what we did. But there's a lot of hidden little things in the lyrics too, that mainly allure to the guests
okay. All right.
or influences, to put it that way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
about horror movies, but a lot of the times, and that's with the artwork too, it deals with bands that made us who we are today and
Okay.
us paying tribute to them. For example, the song with Ben is about the Thing, and right before he comes in, the word intent is being said.
Right.
He's from Shadow of Intent, so little things like that, or Alex from Despise Icon, who obviously has a deep root with hardcore music as well. I had to have him say the Saw as family because hardcore family.
Yeah, yeah,
A
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of like little things that made me go, hey, are in there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So lots of Easter eggs for all of us
Yeah,
to go in
pretty
and
much
look for.
artwork and lyric wise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome. Would it be a wish list item for you to actually make a death metal soundtrack for an actual movie?
Yeah, that'd be sick. I think everybody would be very much down to do
Yeah.
that. Absolutely.
So to wrap us up, like Sven, like forget about the Halloweens and the things and like all those well known classics. Somebody that has seen so many horror movies like yourself. What's and I know that the guys from Striker here in Canada, they love what is it, Franken horror or something like that. But what's a horror movie that we probably haven't heard about that we should check out?
I mean, I'd say like if you look at the record, like half and half is like known and less known.
Hmm.
So there's some of there, in there, like let's say it's still pretty known, but I'm sure like the younger kids really don't know it. Return of the Living Dead,
Hmm.
or Brotherhood of Sleep is about another Carpenter movie, Prince of Darkness, which never was that popular, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's a really sick movie. It's very abstract and everything, so I think there's a lot in there for the younger kids to discover as well. Even musically, if we're talking about younger generations getting to what we're doing, I think if they adhere to the imagery and all that stuff and the more known ones, I think they'll dig the more unknown ones too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. Well, we all know now what to do as we wait for the album to come out. Watch a new horror movie every night, and then we'll get to March 15 pretty quickly to the release date
Today
of the
is
song.
Halloween.
There you go. There you go. Every day is Halloween with Aborted. Sven, thank you so much. I am super excited for everybody to listen to the full album because, like I said before, I think the singles are fantastic, but some of the songs that haven't been released yet are probably my favorite on the album. And I can't wait to see you guys on the road, not just on this upcoming tour, but I have a feeling that 2024 is going to be yet another very busy year for you. And then we can all count the days to the 30th anniversary of the band. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.